Welcome to stage 13 of the Tour de France from Avignon to Mende. We've gone over some small climbs early in the stage, the breakaways have all been caught, and we are now approaching the final climb up to the finish, which is the Côte de la Croix Neuve, which goes above the city of Mende and finishes around the airstrip. This climb is a recent addition in the Tour de France, but proving to be a very popular destination, especially between the Alps and the Pyrenees. So we see our race leader Hippolyte Toutain, who reclaimed the yellow jersey in yesterday's time trial. He leads by just 7 seconds ahead of Rico Rudiger of Euskaltel-Euskadi, and Rudiger's teammate Jean-Marie Caillou is in third place at 17 seconds. Still extremely close for the top 3 riders. And a number of riders will think they can win this stage. It's an explosive finale, should suit riders like Rodolfo Lucci, Ugo Zorzi, and maybe Ibai Leida. Doimo think they have a chance as well. This could be for Iliana Pavlova, Castelli, Sismic also trying to get up in the action. And we're under 10Ks to go already. It's a fast finale. The final climb is very steep. It's 3 kilometers averaging around 10%. It tops out about 1 kilometer from the finish, and then it's a hectic, short descent into the finish line. There's Chongling Shin, the leader of the VeloTour team. He's been very quiet in the Tour de France, but he's solidly placed overall. He's up in 5th. And if it weren't for that team time trial, he'd be even closer to the yellow jersey. Solid race so far for Ling Shin. We'll see what he can do in the Pyrenees later in the race. But we're approaching the start of the Côte de la Croix Neuve. We turn left and then we're on to the steep slopes. Mirzanov of Sismic will lead them on. And the first attack has already come. It's from Ugo Zorzi, the explosive puncher from the Castelli team, and Rudiger's gone after him. And Castelli have to chase this down. Rudiger's in 2nd place overall. Balashkov has counterattacked, trying to get something going for AlphaTauri. A big effort by Yevgeny Balashkov. Seems the rider's trying to bring it back. Rudiger's going to kick again with Rodolfo Lucci. That's Sancho, Kyoto riders up there as well, but this is a good move by Sancho. He's got a gap, he's hit them at the right moment. Now who can get on terms? Ibai Leida is going for it. Lucci and Navarra, I don't think they're going to get across, they've sat up a little bit. Now Rudiger has started the chase because Leida and Sancho have got a gap. They're a bit down on GC, but the stage win is slipping away from the main field. They go over the climb into the Flamme Rouge. They'll sprint it out for the line. It's Sancho versus Ibai Leida. It looks like it could be a photo finish, but Leida is going to go clear. Just a few inches ahead of Luis Sancho. The 2 Spaniards go 1-2. And that's Ibai Leida's first win since Tirreno Adriatico, the first and last races of the season. But Leida back in the winner's column and giving Kyoto a bit of a lift because the team not quite as dominant as we expect. But Leida and Sancho have gained time over the rest of the field, including those bonus seconds at the finish. So it should be around 30 seconds plus the time bonus. So they'll steal a little bit back on the big hitters of the Tour de France. Matsuoda was in 3rd place for Hackett and Rudiger and Kelvin Moore. But I think all the big names finished together. We'll just have to see. So the stage results are official now. Ibai Leida is the winner ahead of Luis Sancho in that sprint à deux, but Leida just barely getting there first. Mario Matsuoda was in 3rd place. He led home the rest of the main field, 27 seconds back. And all the big names of the Tour de France were in that group, with Rudiger in 4th and Kelvin Moore, Iliana Pavlova, Vollenweider, Lucci, Balashkov, and Zorzi. No meaningful change at the top of the GC. Leida and Sancho have gained back some seconds, but they have not even moved up a position in the overall. So Toutain will remain as the race leader. We've got some flat stages between here and the Pyrenees. So Toutain will have a couple more days at least in the Golden Fleece. No change in the points classification, and same for the mountains classification, although Luis Sancho did score a little bit, so he's now in 4th place. Euskaltel-Euskadi still leaders in the team competition. That's all there is for stage 13. Explosive finale. We'll head back into the domain of the sprinters for stage 14. So we'll jump into that race right now. We're around 25 kilometers to ride. A long stage to the south of France. We're heading towards the Pyrenees day by day, but 3 breakaways still in front with just under 25 kilometers to go. Jonathan Kaiser, Laura Duverne, and Diana Stephenson. So they have started the final Category 4 climb. They've been away for the entire stage pretty much. Long, hot road. The peloton starting to bear down. Ugo Zorzi doing some work for Castelli here, trying to get Davide Lagana in position. Lagana, the big sprinter for Castelli, has been nowhere near the front of the race in the sprints, and he's performed pretty well throughout the season, but the Tour de France has been a complete disaster for Castelli. They've not given themselves any chances at all in the sprints, and the breakaways in the mountain stages not going according to plan. In the meantime, the breakaway is splitting up for the final time. Stephenson has attacked them, so she will be the final survivor up front. And she'll score the point at the top of the climb as well. 1 point in the bag for Diana Stephenson, but that's not going to move the needle for the king of the mountains. So that tops out 19 kilometers from the finish. 40 seconds advantage for Diana Stephenson. And this is the final really good chance for the sprinters in still stage 21 into Paris. So if anyone wants to take that green jersey away from Miroslav Kostra, they need to win this stage. Chances are running out for the sprinters. Tomorrow's stage, depending on the type of rider, you could argue a sprinter could get himself to the end. But this is really the last flat finish until the Champs-Élysées. So I don't see the sense of urgency in the sprinters' teams, but they should be a bit more anxious about this finale. 15 kilometers to ride. AlphaTauri, Castelli, Valnor, and the yellow jersey. Those are the riders at the front of the main field. There's Heinrich Kromer in the front of the race. He's been very disappointing in the sprint so far. He hasn't really come close at all. And Miroslav Kostra, the green jersey. 2 stage wins already. Commanding lead in the green jersey competition. And we'll see if we can get a third here. Jerome Loiken leading the line for the Valnor team. And there might be some splits here in the peloton. Some riders going to be tailed off the back. It looks like they've come back together, but Jeff Cooper's launched a surprise attack here. There's some little ups and downs between here and the finish. This is a nice little move by Jeff Cooper to try something. But the peloton was vigilant. They're not letting him get away. Jerome Loiken on the chase down. We got a puncture here. Casper Bosmans, the winner of stage 11, has got a flat tire. And that's really unfortunate timing. You see his teammates have set up and they're going to wait for him. Other riders getting tailed off. His tires tosh the sprinter. So a bit of a hectic finale here. 5Ks to go, and Jeff Cooper is still trying to fly the coupe. They haven't got back to him yet. Ugo Zorzi still chasing down. Now Talia, the Kyoto, now stunning riders up here. But they've got back to him now. Trying to make sure all the riders in the top 10 of GC are here, and they are. But we're 2 kilometers to go now. This is the sprint finale. AlphaTauri is going to launch on the right-hand side with Levi Kennedy, but Kromer's not quite in his wheel, so AlphaTauri has misjudged this. It's a bit of a messy sprint to the line. Nagassi going for it, Robillard, and Miroslav Kostra. That's him and Davide Lagana, but Kostra claims his 3rd stage win in a photo finish. Well, that was impossible to tell at the very end. I really didn't have words for that. I had no idea what would happen next, but just barely Kostra gets there. Couldn't have been more than the width of the tire itself, but Miroslav Kostra gets a 3rd stage win, and that ought to slam the door on that green jersey competition. Well, we talked about Davide Lagana doing nothing in the Tour de France, and he nearly won the stage, so a bit of redemption for him and the Castelli team. Not quite good enough in their book. They needed to cross that finish line in 1st place. So a messy finale in stage 14. We've gone through the time gaps and the splits, and it appears that nobody important has lost any time in the splits in the peloton. The top 10 in the GC will remain as it was at the start of the stage. But as for the stage results themselves, Miroslav Kostra was the stage winner, Davide Lagana in 2nd place, then Blaise Robillard, Mario Metziota, and Ibai Maida. Kitetsu only 6th place. That hurts her chances for the green jersey. And the other contenders like Casper Bosmans, who had that flat tire, and Superchak Sharatvat, nowhere near the winning move of Miroslav Kostra. As mentioned before, the GC exactly the same, so Keep Elite Teuton will lead the race for another stage at least. Miroslav Kostra extending his lead to 62 points in the points classification. Kitetsu, despite her 6th place finish, is actually up to 2nd place. Bosman's now 3rd. No change in the King of the Mountains competition, and Euskadi still leading in the team classification. We got one more stage before we hit the Pyrenees and transitional little hills near the end of the stage. That'll make things a bit hard for the sprinters. We'll go ahead and jump into that stage now. The final gateway to the Pyrenees is in Carcassonne. So with 35.5 kilometers to go, it's Jeff Cooper, looks like Lars Evensen of Sismic. They're in the breakaway and starting the Pic du Nord, which is a big mountain outside of Carcassonne. Gone over a Category 2 climb already in the stage. The Pic du Nord a bit more severe. We're not going all the way to the top of this climb. It actually is quite a bit harder than this if you do the full climb. But the organizers, they were kind to the sprinters. They only went about halfway up, so they'll have a chance to win the stage. One sprinter who might relish this chance is Mario Mazziota, pictured here. He's got a couple top 5s in the stages of the Tour de France, but not quite any victories yet. We'll see if that changes here, stage 15. He's got a teammate, Odo Schmid, who's going to help him chase down the break. So the two breakaways, they have a lead of 1 minute and 20 seconds over the main field. Evensen and Cooper have both been aggressive in this Tour de France. They featured in several breakaways. Jeff Cooper tried to win the stage yesterday with a surprise attack, only caught with a few kilometers to go. It was a brave move, and I'd like to see him try again in the Pyrenees. So those two running a steady tempo up the climb. Chua Forstall, led by Arnaud Deschet here. Trying to keep things under control, they must feel good about the chances of Tyrus Tosh. Tosh won a stage very similar to this in the Giro d'Italia. We had a pretty severe climb just before the finish. Tosh was one of the few sprinters to get up and over that one. Ended up winning the stage ahead of Mario Mazziota. Try again here in the Tour de France. 1 kilometer still to climb. Cooper and Evensen here. Cooper is third in the King of the Mountain standings, who want to sprint for these points. But Evensen's taking him on, and Cooper is not going to try and chase this down, either saving his energy or he's just too tired. But the 5 points will go to Evensen, and I'm not sure Cooper had the legs to go with that acceleration. Cooper is spending a lot of energy with these attacks and breakaways throughout the Tour de France. It's really going to hurt your chances in a sprint for mountains points like that. So I think Cooper is just trying to get back on terms with Lars Evensen, but it might be too tired to go full gas on this descent. It looks like Evensen is just going to go solo here and see what he can do in the final 20 or so kilometers of this race. Callas and the Kyoto team taking control on the descent, protecting the interest of Hippolyte Dutin. And maybe the stage chances of Ibai Leida is pretty good in a finish like this. Plenty of top 5 results on these downhill reduced group sprints. So we twist and turn down the Pic du Nord, heading into the city of Carcassonne. Known for its ancient fortress, it's the namesake of a famous board game. And for this version of the Tour de France, it will be the gateway into the Pyrenees. Tomorrow we ride into the Principality of Andorra. We go over some very difficult climbs and a nasty uphill finish at the ski resort of Arcalus. Looks like Jeff Cooper's almost got himself back to Lars Evensen. Got within around 10 seconds there, but I think the elastic's starting to stretch again. Good try by Jeff Cooper, but the downhill ran out, and in turn he ran out of gas. So Oscar Galati's going to bring him back. And Evensen, his escape won't be out for too much longer. 4 Kyoto riders, 5 Kyoto riders, 6, 7, the whole team pretty much is up here. They're not going to let any surprise attacks get in their way. They almost let Jeff Cooper get away yesterday. Not good enough for the Kyoto team. They've been dominant all season, and they're on the verge of winning the VeloTour for Season 4. So that team tried to stamp their authority on the race. Here's Kitetsu, she needs to move up. 10Ks to go, but maybe Chua Forstall thinking more of Tyrus Tosh for today, and that would be a mistake because Kitetsu's closer in the green jersey competition. But Harold Skopko trying to make sure there's no sprints at all. He's trying to attack with the Rico Rudiger. Tosh is there. And that might have been Ibai Leida of Kyoto. It's a pretty eclectic group of riders here, but very strong, and Skopko's trying again. The peloton breaking up on the flat road to Carcassonne. Hackett have some riders up here trying to keep control. They want to get Mario Mazziota in position for a sprint. Skopko still riding hard, but Schmid just holding the gap. It's been brought back. Any counter moves in waiting, 5Ks to go. It's Giovanni Canale this time. Skopko trying again. Very aggressive Danish rider. We're getting awfully close to the finish, and where are the sprinters' trains? They're not really up here. I'm not sure all the sprinters even made it in this group. A couple Category 2 climbs may have gotten rid of them. Here comes the lead up from Pichuro Forstall. It's Guillermo Casada, and this is all set up for Tyrus Tosh, although Casada's just going for it. He's got a small gap with 1K to go. Tosh now has to sprint. He's opened up pretty early. That's Lida on the right-hand side, Matsuoda through the middle. And Matsuoda bursts through the middle. He's timed it to perfection, and he gets ahead of Tyrus Tosh. And that's a bit of revenge for stage 11 of the Giro d'Italia, because Tosh barely finished ahead of Matsuoda on that stage. This time the Italian gets one back. Lida in third place. It's another top 3 in the last 2 stages. Kiergo was there in 4th, and then Ugo Zorzi. 3 riders tailed off today, none of the big names of the Tour de France. Enjoying a nice warm day in the south of France before a big rendezvous in the Pyrenees tomorrow. For stage 15, the results are in, and Mario Matsuoda was the winner. Tyrus Tosh a close second place, Ibai Lida contesting up there in 3rd, so they've got some bonus seconds. And that's a good development for Ibai Lida. He's gained a significant amount of time the last 2 stages. Tony Kiergo in 4th, and Zorzi, Sancho, Balashkov, Javier Lopez, Levi Kennedy, and Blaise Robillard. Miroslav Kostra in 11th place, so he scored some points as well. The GC, no meaningful changes. Lida did get some bonus seconds, but not very significant. In the points jersey competition, Kostra has slightly extended his lead. He scored 6 points for his 11th place on the stage. Kitetsu still in 2nd place. No change in the King of the Mountains competition except Lars Evanson, who's up to 4th place. In the team classification, unchanged as well, with Euskaltel Euskadi still the leaders. So our transitional days through the middle of France are over. The Pyrenees await tomorrow. 3 massive mountain stages, and that'll provide the final climax for this Tour de France. So Teuton enters as the race leader, 7 seconds ahead of Rudiger, 17 seconds ahead of Caillou, and he has a time trial in hand at the end of the race. But 3 very hard stages could potentially mess it all up for the Kyoto team. So that will be the big GC battle in the mountains to come. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time for stage 16.